Ladies and gentlemen, announcing the arrival of our guests of honor, VIPs, and distinguished guests. All right. First of all, we want to say good morning, everyone, and welcome to Taylor's Lakeside campus. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday morning with us. I know it's a weekend, but it's so happy to see so many faces here this morning. I'd like to take a moment to welcome, first of all, Yang Berhormat Tuan Adam Adli, Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports. Miss, yes, clap, 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 clap. Miss Josephine Tan, Campus Director of Taylor's College. We also have Miss Amelia Sharif, CEO of the Malaysian Institute for Debate and Public Speaking. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to YouthPACT2023. My name is Brandon, and it is my absolute pleasure to be your host today. Of course, before we begin, let me just tell you a little bit about YouthPACT. Now, Youth Partnership in Action to Change Tomorrow, or better known as YouthPACT, was co-founded by Taylor's College and MIDP in 2022. The event was first organized as an online festival in January last year when we were at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite that, Taylor's College and MIDP joined hands to show our support to the brilliant young advocates that we have, platform and celebrate their work, their passion, their values, and most importantly, all that they have done to fight for a better Malaysia. YouthPACT is a weekend-long festival which aims to platform youth voices on critical issues while connecting young Malaysians to leaders and change makers to inspire action. This year, YouthPACT returns bigger, bolder, and better in the format of a physical on-site festival to continue the vision that was planted last year. We have a variety of activities planned for you this weekend, and I'm really excited about each and every one of them, as much as I hope you are also just as excited. If you have not seen the program itinerary, I actually highly and strongly encourage you to do so. Now, in an effort to be inclusive, every YouthPACT session will be translated into Bahasa Isyarat Malaysia live, so that the deaf community can also take part and contribute to the conversations. To that end, I just want to recognize the efforts of Madam Lucy Lim and her team. We have Callista with us here today, so let's give her a big round of applause and the team and acknowledge them a little bit. For your information, ladies and gentlemen, all of our sessions are also streamed live on the digital platforms of MIDP, Astra Awani, and Malaysia Kini, including Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. So for those of you who are joining us online, I'm not sure which camera it is, but if you're joining us online, we want to say hello, welcome, and good morning to you as well. Please feel free to connect with us via the comment section, and we'll be sure to keep an eye for them throughout the entire weekend. Now, before we start the show, some very important house rules for everyone. I've been told by the organizers that this is very important, and I have to go through them one by one. So let's go through them first. And this applies to both online, those who are watching online, and those of you who are joining the festival here physically on site. Number one, while we are primarily using English as the main language of the festival, please feel free to speak in Bahasa Malaysia if you want to, or you can also campur-campur during your sharing, your questions, your comments, whether online or on-site. You can rojakkan as long as the speaker understands, the panelist understands, and they can give you the answers however they wish to as well. Number two, the organizers, we would like for every session to be a safe space for intellectual discourse. This, of course, doesn't mean that no one is allowed to disagree with each other. You can. But of course, it means that you are expected to be respectful in your language, your actions, and your behavior. So please avoid making any personal attacks. Do not use foul language or profanities. If you do, just don't lie, okay? We have a big team of academicians here as well, yeah, and we are in a very proper institution, okay? So please avoid foul language and profanities, okay? No heckling, and overall, what we're really getting at is just let's be decent human beings, right? Let's all be decent human beings. And let's also treat everyone regardless of their age, their race, their ability, religion, socioeconomic status, and let's treat everyone equally and equitably. And last but not least, number three, if you like to reproduce any of the sharing by the speakers, you can, but do so responsibly and avoid misquoting or taking them out of context. For sharing from members of the audience specifically, Chatham House rules apply, which means that you are free to use the information and experiences shared, but please don't reveal their identity. The reason for this is simple. This is just to allow for honest and rich discussion among the members of the audience. These are the three simple rules. Can we all adhere to it? Can? Boleh ke tak? Kei ma? Very good. Now that is out of the way, I think we can hear from the co-organizers themselves as well, Taylor's College and MIDP. Just a little bit of background, first of all. YouthPACT would not be possible, of course, without the amazing partnership and hard work from Taylor's College and MIDP. This partnership started with the establishment of the Hub for Soft Skills Education back in 2020, which aims to increase soft skills literacy and accessibility among students in primary, secondary, and tertiary education institutions. From there, this partnership has flourished into various programs on debating, public speaking, storytelling, Model United Nations, poetry, drama, and many other creative forms. This includes workshops, competitions, festivals, youth conferences, open mic nights, and many more. But that's enough from me. Let's hear more about this directly from the organizers themselves. With that, I'd like to welcome, first of all, Ms. Josephine Tan, Campus Director of Taylor's College, to deliver her welcoming speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Ms. Josephine.
Brendan is too tall. Anyway, thank you, Brendan. It's great to see you back again to Taylor's. By the way, Brendan is our alumni. I'm very proud of his talent. First of all, Yang Berhormat Tuan Adam Adli, Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports, Emilia Sharif, Chief Executive Officer of MIDP, I'm shorter than you. Okay. Distinguished speakers and partners, esteemed guests, colleagues from Taylor's, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, the incredible young minds that are with us today here. Welcome to Taylor's College, welcome to Taylor's Lakeside Campus. Thank you all for joining us on this beautiful morning for the annual YouthPACT event. I stand before you with a deep sense of purpose and a firm belief in the extraordinary potential that resides within each and every one of you. Today, as we embark on this remarkable journey called YouthPACT, I am reminded of the inspiring words shared by our Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, during his address at the National Youth Day 2023. His powerful message emphasized the immense responsibilities and boundless potential that reside within the hands of young individuals. It serves as a poignant reminder that the youth of today are not just future leaders, but leaders of the present, with the right to voice their concerns and hold accountable those entrusted with our nation's progress. At Taylor's College, we share this sentiment. That's why we created YouthPACT alongside our partner MIDP, with the aim of empowering young individuals by equipping them with essential skills and knowledge needed to thrive in an ever-changing global landscape. In line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Taylors have established Impact Labs, which is a part of our mission to empower students, academics, and the community around us. These labs represent our commitment to making a positive impact on society and using education purposefully to drive positive changes for all. We believe that education should transcend the boundaries of classrooms and textbooks, and that its true values lies in its ability to impact lives and society as a whole. At present, we are proud to host 13 Impact Labs that encompass a diverse range of tracks. Each track is specifically tailored to address critical areas where positive change is necessary. One such track that deserves special mention is the Impact Lab on Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions, which after these sessions, if you have time, I would like to invite you to go up to the one floor up. The students are having their exhibition booth on this particular Impact Lab, okay? The Impact Lab on Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions provides an avenue for the public to voice their views over issues that concern the nation and certain communities in search of justice and fairness. It serves as a platform for advocating strong institutions that uphold these values and promote peace and justice. We believe in the power of the youth to shape a more just and equitable society. Another significant track that aligns with the objective of YouthPACT is the Impact Lab on Education for All. While it recognizes the importance of employment-related skills and knowledge, it also emphasizes the development of rhetoric, persuasive communication, and reasoning skills. We believe that these skills are vital in creating productive leaders who can drive positive change in the global community. YouthPACT stands as one of the many initiatives we have under these tracks. It serves as a testament to our steadfast commitment to provide a platform for intellectual discourse, collaborations, as well as action. This initiative is specifically designed to equip young individuals with essential skills, knowledge, and networks, enabling them to become highly effective agents of positive change. Our ultimate goal is to empower youth to transcend the traditional boundaries of education and fully embrace their roles as catalysts for progress in society. Furthermore, YouthPACT goes beyond being just a platform. It is a dynamic and inclusive space that empowers young individuals to share their ideas and opinions confidently and effectively. We firmly believe in the immense power of your voices and your passion and your potential to bring about meaningful change to the society. Through the initiative, we aim to harness the collective energy and innovative thinking of youth to address pressing challenges and pave the way for a more inclusive and prosperous society. As we navigate the dynamic changes of the world, we must remember that our actions today shape the future we desire. Your participation, therefore, in YouthPACT reflects your commitment to using education as a tool to drive meaningful and lasting change. Together, we can create a society that caters to the needs of all individuals, regardless of their background or circumstances. I commend each and every one of you for your passion, dedication, and willingness to engage in this transformative journey. Let us seize this opportunity to learn, collaborate, and take meaningful action. Thank you for joining us today, and I extend my heartfelt appreciation to our partner, our speakers, and supporters for their unwavering commitment to youth empowerment. Have a great one today, everyone.
Thank you very much, Miss Josephine. Very rarely do I get a compliment that I'm too tall, so I must share this with my wife. Anyway, we want to say thank you so much for sharing the vision of Taylor's College, and it's very heartwarming to hear this, especially coming from one of the top institutions in Malaysia. Now, we've heard from Taylor's College. Let's hear a little bit from MIDP, Malaysia's leading institute on soft skills education. For that, I'd like to welcome the CEO of MIDP to share about their vision and how they are contributing to not just the promotion of soft skills, but also improving human capital in Malaysia. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, let's give a big rousing warm of applause to Miss Amelia Sharif.
Hi, Assalamualaikum, good morning, hello everyone, thank you so much for coming. It's not easy waking up on a Saturday and deciding to spend your weekend coming to a forum, so I really appreciate all of you waking up early and being here today with us. I will make this short and sweet. Before that, let's just recognize YB Adam Adli, Miss Jo, our esteemed guests that are here with us today. Truly appreciate your time as well. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little nervous. Not because giving a speech is nerve-wracking, of course it is, but I'm nervous because this is such an important event for us. It is important because youth empowerment stands at the core of what MIDP does on a day-to-day basis. So why do we organize YouthPACT? When we first put this together, the first thought that I had in mind is we need to move away from talking about capacity building for youth to actually providing opportunities and platform for them to show what they've got to offer, the programs, the work that they're already doing. Not that the youth don't need capacity building programs, those things need to continue. But at the core of it, we recognize that under status quo itself, we have youth leaders, community leaders, and activists who are working on so many important topics and areas in our day-to-day lives, and we would love to see them on the stage sharing their opinions, their perspectives, their lived experiences, and basically sharing that with the world. So when we put together YouthPACT, the idea is to platform those voices, and it will be so interesting to see these voices of what people call, like Gen Z voices. Are they valid? Are they not? Of course they are. But more importantly, to see the differences in the ideas that different generations carry. And last year, we had such a wonderful time listening to, all the different programs that they're doing, as well as the ideas that they have. So putting this event together is really important. But beyond that, YouthPACT symbolizes our efforts to support freedom of speech, critical discourse on topics that matter, the right to dissent, the right to disagree with each other. All of those things are not just backbones in any democracy, but more importantly, all of these things are muscles. That means they are soft skills that you need to build. You can't expect our current generation to know how to do this magically. They might, or they might not. But with any platforms that you provide, soft skills include the ability to talk, to express your opinions, to disagree in a polite and gracious way, and all of those things need platform and need practice, and MIDP is more than happy to work together with tailors to do this. Week in, week out, actually, we have events, competitions, workshops almost every weekend here at Taylor's. So I'm very, very happy that we're organizing YouthPACT again on site this year. Lastly, let me just talk a little bit about MIDP, just in case you don't know. MIDP is Malaysia's leading soft skills education institution. We provide programs, opportunities for youth between the ages of 7 to 24 years old. We also have corporate programs where basically we offer soft skills training for corporates, but let's not talk about that today. I want to talk a little bit about why we do the programs that we do, and I want to summarize it in this one word: confidence. Confidence, to be themselves, confidence to talk, confidence to express, confidence to disagree. I've talked about that earlier today. But I want to end my speech here with one note. A lot of people will ask me, what is confidence? I think you're pretty confident. How do you get to be so confident? And usually, and this is what MIDP believes in as well, when we talk about building youth, they are confident. We don't mean to make them trust in their abilities that they will get everything right. That's not confidence. So when you think that being confident means that you trust that you can do it right, you trust that you can do it well, that's not confidence. So confidence is that you trust that when you get things wrong, you have the resilience to get back up and try again. So the fear of failure does not stop you. And you won't have these crazy expectations that I have to do everything for the first time and I have to be perfect. Because failures are important too. So we want our youth, and pretty much everyone in Malaysia and outside of Malaysia, to understand that to be confident is to know that when you get things wrong, and it's a when, not a if, because we will get things wrong and it's okay, that we have the confidence to learn from it, to be better, come back stronger, and contribute to the causes that we believe in, to contribute to our nation building, to contribute to building a better Malaysia. The theme for YouthPACT this year is Bangsa Malaysia. And this is critical because today we are Malaysians and we want all of these topics today to cover everyone's lived experiences and opinions regardless of who you are. So please know that this space and this platform is created for you. So please take up the space, have fun, please enjoy. If you don't like anything, you can tell us afterwards. We'll be happy to work on those things. But yeah, that's really my hope for today. Thank you so much for listening and hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much, Amelia, for that very inspiring speech. We can tell why, we can see why she's the CEO of MIDP. Very fantastic speech indeed. And it's truly very impressive as well to see the dedication of an organization like MIDP working so passionately to advance soft skills education in our country, Malaysia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now we have arrived to the highlight of this opening ceremony, which is the launching of YouthPACT2023. So before that, we would like to draw your attentions to the screen. We've prepared a little special teaser video, and if you may, let's watch it together. Please enjoy. This weekend, over today and tomorrow. So now I'd like to warmly welcome YB Adam Adli, Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports, to join us at the front to the stage, accompanied by none other than Miss Josephine Tan and Miss Amelia Sharif. May we give them a warm round of applause as they join us on stage. All right, to our VIPs, you may take your positions. Now, the launching today will be perfected by 2 strikes of the gong, And for your information, the gong is a traditional percussion instrument typically used in music, composition, and dances across East and Southeast Asia. So there will be 2 strikes of the gong, and this is going to symbolize that this is the 2nd edition of this festival. So, YB, Adam, Adli, are you ready? We're going to do it together, okay, bersama-sama, yeah? So what we're going to do is going to ask the help from the crowd. We're going to count down together from 3 seconds. So I say 1, 2, 3, then we count down 3, 2, 1. Okay? Very easy to understand, huh? All right. Ready? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do it together. 1, 2, 3. In 3, 2, 1. And one more time. Yes, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause because YouthPACT2023 is officially launched. Woo. All right, may I ask our VIPs to remain on stage because at this point, we would also like to invite a lot of our other friends to join us on stage for a photo opportunity. So with that, can I first invite Ms. Joanna Sue Hanley Rampas, Deputy Head of Wirawati Party Warisan Sabah, to join us on stage. May I also have Aini Hazika, Central Executive Committee from Malaysian United Democratic Alliance from MUDA. Can I also invite Ms. Bawani Kias, Deputy Secretary General from Parti Socialist Malaysia. Can I also invite Ahmad Faris Amir, Chief Executive Officer from Impact Integrated. Dr. Muhammad Saiful Bakri from Institute Pembangunan dan Kecemerlangan Kepimpinan. May I invite also Chan Sun Singh, the CEO of Teach for Malaysia. Ms. Deborah Henry, co-founder of Fuji School. Cheryl Ann Fernando, CEO of Pemimpin. Dini Fadil, Executive Director of Generasi Aspirasi Pemimpin. Azlan Ismail, COO of Science of Life Studies 24/7. And Sharani J. Kumar, Senior Executive from Integrated Marketing Communications from My Harapan. So may I invite all of you, please join us on stage. And photographers and videographers, we're going to invite you at this juncture to take those photos. And to all our guests, please look in front. Let's see those pearly whites. Smile, smile, smile. Cameras, videographers. Smile, smile. Chit-chat, chit-chat. There we go. Very good. All right. Videographer. Okay, what would you like, sir? Okay, got it. All understand? All right, I'll do the countdown for you, all right? In 3, 2, 1. All right, let's smile. Can, huh? That side, videographer? Boleh, yeah? Okay, very good. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you so much to all our VIPs, our guests of honor, and of course to all our friends as well. Let's give them a big round of applause, shall we? Thank you so much for supporting the event and being partners in this endeavor. Yes, may I invite our 3 VIPs, Miss Josephine, Miss Amelia, and YB Adam, to stay on stage because what we'd like to do right now is to present a token of appreciation for your presence here today. Photographers, videographers, this is your opportunity as well. On behalf of Taylor's College and MIDP, we just want to extend our greatest and deepest gratitude to YB Tuan Adam Adli for being here and gracing the event. All right, with that, thank you so much to YB Adam Adli, Miss Josephine, and Miss Amelia. You may now return to your seats. Thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I think my role here is over, but please don't go anywhere because we have so many more exciting sessions and topics with the Politicians Forum happening right after this. And the topic is none other than Kuasa Anak Muda, increasing youth political candidacy and representation in elections. With that, thank you so much for being such a great audience. I would now like to pass the floor to the Content and Marketing Officer from MIDP. He's going to be moderating this session. Please give it up and welcome Miss Amy Suhana. Clap, 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 clap.
All right, hi everyone. Let's do a quick vibe check. How are we this morning? Yeah, let's go. All right, appreciate the energy. Thanks, Brendan. All right, so we're gonna start our forum really shortly. But first, I'm gonna announce few house rules. Number 1, please keep your mobile phones on silent throughout the session. This is important, yeah. You're not allowed to record the full session. However, you may take videos or short clips for IG stories. And don't forget to tag us, MIDP and Taylors as well. But don't worry if your friends are actually, they want to watch the live stream, they can head to our Facebook, MIDP Facebook, which is at MIDP today. Second, we just want to make sure that everyone is comfortable, so please make sure if you want to take photos and things like that, please make sure that you ask for consent first. And also, most importantly for all of the audience, you are encouraged to ask questions at the end of the session. When the Q&A session opens, please raise your hands and we will call you out accordingly. Is that clear for everyone? All right, good. Okay, for the first session, let me introduce, we already know who are the list of speakers, but I'm just going to read the amazing bio, right? First, we have YB Adam Adli, the Deputy Minister of Ministry, Youth and Sports. We all know Adam Adli is a Malaysian politician and student activist who has served as a Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports in the Pakatan Harapan administration under the Prime Minister of Anwar Ibrahim and Minister Hannah Yeoh since December 2022, and a Member of Parliament MP for Hang Tuah Jaya since November 2022. All right. The second one is Ms. Joanna Suhanli Rampas, the Deputy Head of Wirawati Parti Warisan Sabah, who is with us representing the community from Parti Warisan Sabah. Next, we have Aini Hazika, which is the Executive Committee of MUDA. We've seen a lot of her works related to women, citizenship, and also other concerns as well. Next, we have Bawani KS, which is the Deputy Secretary General from Parti Socialist Malaya, notable figure in the realms of politics, law, and activism. All right, so I'm gonna take a seat. All right. Welcome everyone to the first session of YouthPACT2023, which is the Politician Forum Kuasa Anak Muda, increasing the youth political candidacy and representation in elections. I think this is a very interesting topic, personally for me as well, because when we talk about the involvement of youth in politics, oftentimes we talk about their involvement at the parliament level, but we never really have like a deeper conversation in terms of at the level of candidacy. So I think these are the things that we want to unpack today. We want to talk about what are the roles or active roles that we can take as an individual, as the political party, and all of the other stakeholders that are involved. With that being said, I'm very eager to ask this question to Adam, right? The first question is, okay. So you have been venturing in politics since you were a student, and you have gone through various of challenges. To name a few, you were suspended for 3 semesters in university, and you have also been arrested with sedition charges for political statements that you made, and remanded for almost 5 days. But the political climate now seems to have improved. What do you think is the biggest barrier faced by our youth to actively involve in the politics in this era?
Testing. All right, very good morning. Thank you, Amy, Babani, Joanna, Aini, fellow friends, students, and everyone yang ada hari ini. There are so many answers to that question, actually. There are just so many answers to that question. Most of the time, in political parties, people would basically say the biggest barrier, biggest challenge would normally be about the hierarchy of the party, which would normally involve seniority as well. Seniority comes with age. just how long you spend your time, how long you've been in a political party, how much ranks have you climbed. So that is one thing. Mainly would be hierarchy and seniority. So you kind of have to queue, you kind of have to wait for your turn. But for the youth, I think main challenge will also be about time. We're not going to be young forever. A different challenge. Okay, now in a bigger conversation about political representation in politics, there are two general areas where people will always have conversation. One would be the representation of young people in politics. Second would be the representation of women in politics. It's easier to neglect the young generation because age will go by. Definitely people will just say, never mind, you wait until you get older and you get there. Yeah. Whereas that's why I think one of other challenge would be time, because you're not racing or you're not competing with other people, other gender, other quality of identity, but you are competing against time. Just how much time you have to prove that you can be there before you reach a certain point of time or a certain age. So that will be one of the challenges that I see. There are, of course, so many other things, but let's look into that first, and then we explore more. Okay.
All right, thank you, Adam, for the answer. Yeah, I think we have to acknowledge the issue of ranking and seniority. I think like it happens a lot, not in just politics, but just in general, right? Following up to the question, I want to ask Joanna, when we talk about the challenges in politics, can you also talk to us the specific challenges of youth in Sabah and what could potentially limit their meaningful participation in politics, most importantly, to be selected as candidate and run for public office?
Hello. So first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me today. And it's really a great honor for me to be with all the great minds here. And I believe every one of us here are all gathered here together in the congregation to actually have the same vision of which we would like to have more youth participation in Malaysian politics. And as I am coming here today, I flew all the way from Sabah to actually come here and to join with you all. Thank you very much. And as well, proudly wearing one of the 38 ethnics that we have in Sabah, and I'm wearing a sinabu from Daerah Tongod. I'm actually from Kiulu. I hope Kiulu people won't be, not so disappointed about this. But I thought that, today, as I'm bringing the voice from Sabah, and I would like to share with you all about the political dynamics that we have in Sabah. And I had a brief conversation with Ms. Deborah just now about the politics that we have in Sabah, and it's very, very dynamic. And I would say that, politics in Sabah is very unpredictable, and to be fair, youth participation of politics in Sabah is rather low. And you can, not only for youth, but as well as women. In the state legislative assembly itself, we only have about 4 or 5. That's not including the Adun Lantikan, we have it there. Now, I think that there are a couple of things that would hamper of the youth participation in Sabah. Okay, part of the reason, I think I'm looking at it in two perspectives, right? From the micro perspective or the personal or individual perspective. As we know for a fact in Sabah, it is a beautiful state. We have more than 38 ethnics, not including the sub-ethnics. We have different types of languages and so forth. And I think the diversity as well, that we have there also has an impact to the political dynamics that we have there. Now, So coming back to the question, what are the issues that are hampering a lot of these young leaders, young potential leaders who are actually, they have all the capacities, the potential to be leaders, but they tend to shy away from this. First and foremost, we know for a fact that the magnitude of poverty in Sabah is very, very high. Every time we see Belanjawan Negara, every year is always Sabah. There's a thing we call in Sabah, kami la paling muncit, meaning that we are always the last when it comes to socio-economy, right? And, when you have this, basically, the issue will only be bread and butter issues. Most of the issues will be bread and butter issues, and we know that majority of the people in Sabah, we live in the interior areas, okay? And when you have bread and butter issues, you're talking about, we also have lack of quality of education there. Let's face the fact. Sabah and Sarawak, but I am coming from Sabah, and I think these are part of the reason why I actually ventured into politics. It is not an easy, political, or it's not an easy sphere for you to enter politics, especially when you're a woman. People will always be, they're very skeptical. When I first joined politics, it's very, very skeptical. I said, betul ka kau mau pergi ikut politik ini? And I joined at a very, very young age of 27 years old. And, but I said, because my love and passion for the people of Sabah, and I believe that Sabah could propel to the next level, because look, Sabah, for example, we have ample of natural resources. We have ample of potential leaders, especially youth, but they tend to shy away from this. There are a couple of things. Number one, there's lack of quality education there may lead to lack of political illiteracy. This is one of the big issues that we have there, right? And secondly, when we talk about when you have the deficiency of political literacy, one of the main issues that we face a lot there is election goodies. It is, I think it's not really, it's pretty much, it's very different from how it is in Sabah and Sarawak, specifically in Sabah. And when you have 180,000 unemployed youth in Sabah, being in the front lines of politics would be the last thing in their mind. You see? And then when we're looking at that, that they will be thinking of how do I put food on the table, and these are one of the challenges that we have there. Now, there is also, I feel that there's an institutional mistrust that is happening in Sabah. Let's be fair, Sabah politics is very, very interesting, I would say. We have the most sudden snap elections going on. Orang bilang, kalau orang Sabah bilang sangat meriah, politik ini hidup, dia sangat hidup. In the morning, you have this, you have this situation going on. By afternoon, sudah lain cerita. Petang, lain sudah cerita. In fact, we have been, having a plethora of political groups that have been leading in Sabah. So I think there is also institutional mistrust towards, the politics in Sabah, and yet young people tend to shy away. Now, let me add another one. When I'm looking into the bigger perspective, I agree of what YB Adli had said just now, that it's always about hierarchy. Okay. Now, the thing about the Sabah politics is that it is very personality based. And you have this, the stereotype idea is that you must be male. I'm sorry to say, but that is just, the idea. You have to be male, wealthy, established, and therefore you become, bolehlah jadi masuk politik. So I think these are in fact, all of the issues of why we see there is lack of political participation amongst the youth, especially in the state of Sabah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I agree with like a lot of the. Yeah, I think acknowledging a lot of the issues, for example, the issue of hierarchy, the issue of these stereotypes of like what you have to be before you enter politics even, like that sets a barrier for youth to be able to participate, to be the candidate, right? Now, addressing the issue of gender, I want to ask this next question to Aini. Being a female politician and you have faced criticism and personal attacks for switching parties back in 2022, and all while actively advocating for women's and children's issues such as combating domestic abuse, addressing citizenship concerns and social securities, inequalities, and supporting refugees. Like really, really great work. A huge fan of that. Just in light of this, what do you think are the specific policy or structural changes do you believe that are necessary for us to foster a safer and more supportive political environment for youth and female politicians specifically?
All right. First of all, thank you very much for having me today. Thank you, MIDP, and also Taylor's for having all of us today. The first thing that I want to address is that only female politicians or female leaders would get such question. The first thing that they would focus on is the first thing that she would mention just now, rather than focusing on like what female leaders or politicians do. Do you think male politicians would get that? We rarely have that, all right? So that's the first thing that I would want to address. The second thing is that when we speak about gender equality, we talk about how mainstreaming gender. I think the most important thing is that this is what I've seen throughout many years in the field. Actually, I would always love to address myself as professionally a lawyer before a politician. But the first thing is that it's always this. You see, if let's say we talk about gender, right? It's not just the perspective of like male and female, or like male politician and female politician, or like the male and female. That's number one. When it comes to youth, right? The first thing that they would see is that younger women or the young women in politics would sit down in women group. They would not be seen in youth as a whole. So, for example, when you talk about allocation of seats, let's be very, very frank. When you talk about allocation of seats in election, younger women or young women would be seated in only the women's group. So kalau contohnya, I give very, very frank answer. Kalau contohnya we have good female leaders, young female leaders, all right? And we ask in the party hierarchy, for example. Kita tanya, and then they say, oh, tak, your allocation is in the women's group, or like the women's sector, wing. Okay, they have it there. But they will never, or very rare that they will be included in the youth which are male-dominated. Why? Because, oh, you can perempuan sit under there, sit under that wing. But you see, in the women's group pula, the women's wing pula, you will be seen as young women and the more, how do you say, like the women lah, the older ataupun more experienced women, I would say. So there's a lot of challenges. That's the very first basic challenge when it comes to young women. They want to be in politics. They know what they fight for. They know what are the issues. Like just my very good friend Em said just now, youth want to be in politics. Youth want to be in the platform because they know what are the topics that they want to talk about. They were fighting for. But are they given such opportunity? Are they given such spaces? To be very honest, I was very happy to walk down all the booths just now because like I think 70% of the booth are my friends. Young women who are very, very passionate in terms of like public speaking, mental health, nationality issues and whatnot. But you see, can they move from just being an activist? Or one day if they decide to be in politics, for example, can they be there? Are they able to be given such space? Or any man, for example, oh, I'm standing up from my seat. Why don't you take this seat? You don't see that. You won't see that. So what I'm trying to say is that these are like the biggest challenge for women, young women, to be very specific. Right? Like, we're talking about like youth today. But more than that, right, I've seen like not just this kind of like factor. This is actually a very policy, party policy, you know, that they sometimes have to adapt to, etc. But young women faces like more problems, like, you know, don't talk about like experience. This go through youth across the board, where youth are expected to have like more experience. If you don't have such experience, you can't sit in election. You see, but this is not something that should continue. That's how I feel. You see, you've seen like, okay, Adam is like very young. He's already Timbalan Menteri. So if you are giving youth a newly perspective on how they should be in politics, chances or platforms need to be given. If you do not provide such spaces or platform, I feel like we can never move from such idea of how we want to talk or include youth in the policy making, decision making. That's about it. You see, like a lot of youth, I can tell you out there. Okay lah, I really want to make this conversation not just about urban youth. We talk about like rural youth. We have so many reps who can talk about this. But you see, this conversation would just be about urban youth, you know? Like this is where we talk about who are reaching out to rural areas, for example, whom we know that these youth have potentials. I like it that, you know, this conversation can be in Bahasa and in English, because you see, some people would be very much more interested in understanding the issue with the language that they understand. But are we giving such spaces or opportunities to our youth, and especially young women? And I feel like if until and at least we move towards making sure that young women is like playing the biggest part in making sure that issues, topics, matters pertaining to the community, to the people are addressed, then we will never move from it. Yeah.
I think that's a very interesting take. When we talk about, oh, you should be actively participating in political parties, but we actually don't provide them the opportunity to do so, or we put them in the youth wing or the women wing. I think that's the main issue right there. Because when we talk about youth representation, what exactly are they representing, right? So I'm going to forward this next question to Bawani. You were also a lawyer with your own law practice in Perak. But in 2022, you received many compliments when you declared your monthly salary, spending, and total assets to the public, which was worth less than 1,000 ringgit. Many Malaysians said they could relate to you, and they would love to have more leaders who represent their lived experience as an average Malaysians. But do you think low income and lack of financial security contribute in a way to reducing active participation of youth in politics today?
Thank you, moderator. Very good morning. How are you, everyone? Good. Okay, first of all, thank you for the organizer for inviting me and with the vibrant panelists. Okay, I think before I direct to the answer, I think I would like to talk about the asset declaration, the key point which bring to the question. I think in Malaysia, the asset declaration is very poor. Not many people dare to declare their asset. When this is the 2022 is my second time I declare my asset. First I declared in 2018. When first time I declare my asset, only the question pop up in my mind was how the public will react. In 2028, my asset was negative, and 2022 is a improvement but lesser than 1K. So I think, but when we declare our asset to the public, trust me, I thought public will be judgmental, but it's breaking. Everything is break. Public is a very compliment. Public is a feel. People is a real. People accept whatever is come in, and also people love for a transparency, accountability. So this is a very important key point. whoever want to stand in election, whoever want to be a wakil rakyat, they should be transparent. Start from the basic. They must come with a clean end. That's how we need to see a wakil rakyat. So I think in Malaysia, PSM, Parti Socialist Malaysia, is the first political party. Wakil rakyat is to declare their asset. The candidate declared in 1999. And we continue the practice. Even our local council, last time in 2018, they declared their asset. Then now followed by many politicians declare their asset. But I think the important policy or rules or whatever must be in Malaysia. Whoever become a candidate, they should declare their asset. This is the very important to stop the corruption in Malaysia. And the people will evaluate whether we become a wakil rakyat, whether our asset will increase. Because this is what happening in Malaysia past 60 over years. We can see so many young people and also so many politicians come to the public service to become a wakil rakyat, to earn money, to make profit, to get that kind of project, this project. Even we talk with our friend circle, oh, we go politics, we want to get this project, we want to become, because this is the mindset. It's already more than 60 over years. We need to break this culture. So the key point is very important. Whoever want to contest in election, to want to be wakil rakyat, they must declare the asset. So, okay, back to the question, the answer. I don't think lack of income, of financial security is one of the main cause or main reason. It could be one of the reason. When we list on, there's 6 points why lacking of the young participation in the politics. We can say financial is a number 4 or number 5. I myself started the activism from the time I don't earn any money. Student, I didn't earn when I was 20 years, didn't earn any money. I started, I think Saudara Adam, our YB, started from the student activism. Most of the leaders in Malaysia started the activism from young age. So the age we don't depend on, we don't have any financial. So I don't think, of course, we need money for survival. No dispute on that. But it won't be the main cause or main reason. There's so many reasons. When we ask the young people here, why you all don't want to active in any political party or politics? Politics is dirty. Politics is bad. That is the common answer will come from the youth. Everything is same. Semua sama saja. Past 60 over years, we see BN. Then after that, come to the opposition. But opposition also cannot show the good example, split among them. Then join with another team. Also problem. Then now it's also, now, kerajaan perpaduan. It's a still combination. Our current politics didn't show a good example for the young people. So I think this is the few reasons why the lacking of the young people in our country.
Okay, thank you for the response. I think that's very interesting. When we talk about the youth representation, whether or not money is actually an issue, because oftentimes people say, oh, to be able to participate in politics, you need a lot of funding and things like that. But I think Bawani have explained to us that's not the priority of you or the reason why you shouldn't be participating in a political party. So I think the first part of this forum, we have addressed the issues and what are the challenges that we face. So I'm going to move on to the next discussion session. And I want to ask this question, which is, what are the laws or the policy that needs to be introduced or amended to develop an affinity for politics and public service among Malaysians at young age? I think, Adam, you can answer the question.
Get people to be involved in politics actively, especially to get them to be a bit louder. To get them to be not just voters. I mean, when it comes to involvement in politics, it should also be about voting as well as being voted. One of many things would be to increase the awareness first. We cannot simply jump into conclusion that we need some amendments or some new act of law, but rather we have to increase the awareness among especially the youth, increase not just awareness but also the interest. Kalau dia ada kesedaran, dia ada minat, and then only we can move into some form of implementation of any kind of policy of law. We already have something quite big actually, implemented in 2022, 2021 and 2022, which is the Undi 18. It's quite big already. There's a big step, huge step for democracy in Malaysia, where we encourage younger people to participate directly in politics. Even at the point of time where we are still having problem, especially in terms of participation among the youth, particularly students of universities, where some of them are still being restricted. So we already have that big policy change, where younger generation at the age of 18 can now start voting, meaning that after you finish your SPM, before you start thinking about furthering your study, doing something with your life, or even planning your future career, you're already being asked, or you already have a duty as a voter. You have national duty as a voter. So that is big. That is supposed to be a big motivation for any young people to be involved in politics, to not just in political parties, but also in any form of political activities. At the same time, like I said earlier, to increase the awareness. That's why I think, at least as of now, when we are speaking, at least at the Ministry of Youth and Sport, KBS, we understand this problem that we do not have political education, formal political education in school system. We do not have this. So the moment they leave school, they have to find something. They have to basically learn it from maybe from their parents, from their teachers, from their friends, peers, from ketua kampung, ketua daerah, anyone. So there's no guarantee that they will actually be able to expose themselves with some form of not objective. There's no such thing as objective truths in politics. It's just that something more factual, something yang lebih baik ataupun can be understood, can be fundamental. Exactly, the fundamental principles of politics. At least, yeah. The very least that we can do right now is through KBS, we tried our efforts throughout a few of our agencies like iLead, Impact, and a few others. And Rakan Muda very soon. Tomorrow will be launched. We're going to have Rakan Demokrasi, where we try to encourage young people, not just 18 years old, but a lot younger also, 16 years old or 15, to participate in discussions about politics, democracy, learn the fundamental values and principles of politics. Nothing to do with, not much to do with political ideologies, more on duty and responsibility as a citizen, the way you understand politics, critical thinking, those kind of stuff. I think this would be one of many things that we are already doing. In fact, it's already ongoing right now. We have about 6,000, 7,000 participants on our test pilot. So the moment we roll out throughout the year, it should increase to, at least for this year, we target around 50,000. Yeah. So that would be one of many things that we want to do.
All right. I think when we talk about youth being an active member in the political scene in the country, we also have to address things such as like the lack of education related to the fundamentals, principles of politics. I think that's very important for us to address. But aside from the responsibility of preparing the youth with this knowledge, right? So I just want to open the floor for this question. What do you think political parties can do to improve the percentage of youth candidacy specifically, not just as a member of the political party, but to actually run for election in their respective party in the next election? Maybe Joanna can answer?
I think all the conversation that we have today is spot on. I mean, these are all the issues that we are really facing, of why a lot of our young leaders or young potential leaders do not actively join politics. But before I go on any further, I would like to perhaps, address a couple of issues of what has mentioned just now by YB Adli and as well as Ms. Balwani when it comes to, education, right? And I think, having Undi 18 and to see it how it has, being implemented during the recent general election, I think this is very rejuvenating for Malaysian politics. But then again, I think there are three things, if I were to add a little bit on that, there are three things that we need to focus on. First is education. I think, if I would add to that, it is very important for us to have a mandatory civic education, especially in our education system. Because the question right now is, yes, we do have, all these lepasan SPM who comes out from school. And, when I had the opportunity to meet a lot with these young people, especially in the interiors, and I said, ay, kau mau mengundi ka ni kali? And I'm like, settingola pa bapak, saya bilang. So this is something that is very, very worrying, I think. And before we even look into, having the initiative of Undi 18 is very, very welcoming, but is our education system have prepared this young generation as early as about 15 years old for them to be able? So I think civic education is a mandatory. In fact, it has to be in the SPM punya subjects. That is how I see it. And then talking about the political funding, I honestly agree with you that for you to join politics, let's not talk about, you want to join politics, cari project lah, this and that. I mean, this is just one of the things that we again face amongst the youth. But at the same time, let's face the fact, I'm looking at it from a different perspective. We're looking at it in Sabah, political costs. Political funding is pretty high. When you talk about logistics, kereta bukan tuang pakai air. Kereta tuang pakai minyak. Minyak pun naik turun harga dia sekarang. So these are the little nitty-gritty things that I think it's very important for us to look into, and part of the reason why that a lot of these young generation are not really wanting to politics. So I think it is also high time for us to have political funding act to be implemented not only in this country, so that everyone plays in the same level playing field. You see, that's why now we would see, political parties are being probed by having a sum of money in their accounts and whatnot. You see, so these are the things that we do not want to listen. Okay, we want to have a transparency. We want to have a participation of politics that is same level as whether you're youth, in minorities. This is how I want to look how Malaysian politics is to be. So the question right now was sorry, I got the political party, right? Yeah, this is the thing about politicians. They do talk a lot, right? I think the most important thing is that the political institution itself must be ready and prepared to evolve and to see that young people like us all here are not just sebagai macam mana mau cakap wing saja, but as partners in terms of policy making in this country. That is how I see it. And I also believe that there is a compelling need for every single political party, every single organization, political parties, to actually uplift and really having an agenda to really focus on, democracy, okay? And that is what I see, and to also promote good governance. See, when you have a political institution that focuses on this, again, as I mentioned in my points earlier, about institutional mistrust. Now, if you have political parties that have the agenda to prepare to evolve, and then we will see more young men and women to join politics. So that is what I think, from my point.
Right. I think it's very important for a political party to actively making an active action in making sure that there is a mass of like a participation by youth to run for candidacy, right? But I mean, we hear this a lot about mandating quota for every political party to name a youth candidate in election. So my question is, do you think this quota system would actually work or not?
First and foremost, I want to echo what Joanna mentioned just now about Political Funding Act, which is pretty important. Let me tell you a fact that if you're not sure or if you don't know, there are politicians who can actually spend 50 million during election. It's something shocking kan, 50 million, yes, it happened. But their opponent, kalau parti kecil contohnya, 50,000 pun tak ada. I mean, I'm just saying how the field is very unfair to every and each of the candidates, for example, and how it can actually impact decision making in the future. If we do not provide such level-based opportunities or platform, this is what's going to happen. Whoever has more money would be in the decision making, and how it will impact you as youth, as people in the community, because these are the people who's going to make the decision. These are the people who's going to be constructing the policy, the law. So how will this end? And I feel that this conversation would have a bigger conversation if you want to go through it, especially on how we see a lot of young politicians are actually advocating for Political Funding Act. Okay, back to the question just now. If you ask me personally, I do not support quota. I do not support quota. But quota is important, especially being in politics for some time. I feel like quota is still important because we want to make sure that the representation is balanced. This is important. But if you ask me personally, kalau orang kata apa aim ataupun objective in the future dan sebagainya, I would say that I wouldn't want to support quota because merit base is the most important thing. You see, if not, we will continue having the perspective of like, okay, we have 10 people in this line of candidates, but oh my God, we only have 2 women. Can we maybe take 2 more women in? Can we take another 2 more youth to eventually manage this whole lineup? You see, because they're not based on merits. Yes, of course, a lot of those you bring in will come in with merits because they're not seen first on their merits. They'll be seen first in to complement the quota representation and whatnot. But as we grow towards a better nation and whatnot, and I feel that this is very, very important. You need to see a person based on the merits. And how do we move towards that? Okay lah, kalau nak move towards that, of course you have to abolish quota lah. But of course, realistically, if you ask me, I still think that we need quota because we want to make sure that kalau tak ada quota langsung, you see, some political parties can just have like this thick face and just put whatever lineup they want. Because, as I said earlier, people with money can just come in as a candidate. So people don't bother about that. Unless we really have the policy in the constitution of the party. Certain parties have this kind of certain parties have this kind of policy or law in their constitution, whereby 30% of women, for example, whether they follow or not, that's for the party to answer. But to be very honest, there are certain parties who put such. Oh, okay, they already put 5 more minutes. But I just want to finish this. It's very important to have such a quota to make sure that proper representation is put on that. That's my take. Thank you.
Yeah, I think
when we talk about, quota system, then tak semestinya the one that would actually have the merits will be there or not. But kita like dah cakap tentang how exactly this political party cannot make this, I would say they won't change like just in a snap, like suddenly they have a change mindset of like, okay, let's have more youth. That's why we think that the quota system would actually push them towards making these changes in the first place. But okay, let's just assume if we actually proceed with the quota, how do you think, or like what is the number that we need to get to eventually think that the number is actually fair for the number of representation of youth in politics? Bawani.
Okay, I think the quota system, we see in Malaysia, our youth population in Malaysia is, I think, 37 or 38%, 12 million. But our youth rep from 18 years to 14 years, I think lesser. Maybe it's around 20 or 27% in parliament. So, but when we see people over the 50 years, it's more than 60% in parliament. But their population is very less compared to the young people in Malaysia. So, I think rather than we put as a policy or law in Malaysia, because we always must go with the merit, who have the capability, who have good talent, they should give opportunity for them. But the thing is, I think what should start is within the political party. They should 1/3 from their membership. They should put young candidate. That must start from the political party. Then from that, people will have now people don't have the alternative. People didn't see the young people as a candidate because the political party didn't offer the young people as a candidate. So I think within the political party, they should put quota. I mean, within the party, I said, 1/3 should be the young candidate. So I think that is a starting point for us because of course, in the many countries like Kenya, I think, Uganda, Tunisia, all have a quota system for, legal candidate. They have a young rep. There's one quota for that. But as a starting point for Malaysia, I think within the party should start. Put the young candidate. This is a very important, I think. And also, I think we must give opportunity for the young people. When we talk about the opportunity, I will go back to the education system. Because we don't have a political advocacy in the school, political education in the school. What is a political education? What is the civic education? I think that is the starting point for the young people. Example, we should have a student council from the primary. They should have go through the democracy in their own class, how to choose the ketua class. So from that, they should have a speaker corner in the class. They should voice out their problem. So there is a way we can build the leadership among the young people. How it started? It won't drop from the sky. We should initiate somewhere. So education is a very important platform. We should start the civic education, the political education. And also, another thing is, we should just now, I even want to talk about the law, policy. I think we should have a speaker corner in every district to people come and talk, give their opinion. Then from that, they involve their participation in the policy making. Now we have a parliament belia. Whether the decision making, they have any power in the decision making? I don't think so. It's like of course they're involving, but we didn't give a power to the young people. When we give opportunity to them to make the decision, bring the issue to parliament to debate, that how we bring in different ideas, initiative from the young people. I think even we have 18, 18 student, young people can vote. But so many people last election we can say, I follow apa bapa cakap, mak cakap, nak undi siapa. So that now they don't know. Another thing, when we see, of course, under the AUKU, we can participate in the political party, but the freedom of speech and expression, whether it's still there or not, whether the young people can do the speaker corner in the Dataran Merdeka now, we have another Peaceful Assembly Act. We need to notify. So there's some restriction is everywhere. I think people only can talk about their ideas in the classroom. We should open in the public so that how we recognize the talent, ideas of the young people in Malaysia. We should start it. I hope the new government started the platform. We have young YB Adab started the platform, open a speaker corner in every rural area, every district. Put every Saturday it's a speaker corner. Whoever have any ideas, come and talk. We need to create this kind of culture among our young people. This is very important. Then it creates the leadership. So I think we cannot be artificial. We fix 20%, 30%. Of course, we need more rep in the parliament to make a decision, to bring a new policies, all the thing. Example based on our young population in Malaysia. And another thing, I think many people will think is a rebel. But I think within the political party, they should have maybe one candidate should have a limit for their term. 2 years, 4 years. If not that, there will be 20, 30 terms. We cannot create so many young leaders. So, as conscious, we need to create. It's not we put some rules, but this is the things. To break it, we must start from within the political party. Fixed term. So this is another thing. Basically, all the political party have the role. Very big role to bring the young people. We cannot always talk. We give opportunity for the young people, but it cannot be visible.
Right, Barney, I agree with the need to, for us to make all of these active changes all at once. Education, we talk about how the political party can actually come up with all of these acts. It's very important because we want to change the narrative. Without all of these active efforts, it's very, very hard for us to change the mindset of the previous generation, right? So we think that it's very important for us to now give the opportunity for youth to be in the decision-making body. I think I agree with that, right? So now moving on to the Q&A question. I will open the floor to the audience. If you have any question, please raise your hands. I will pass the mic to you for the Q&A session. But before that, let's talk about a few things. Please feel free to just raise up your hands. I will address you accordingly. Yes.
Thank you. My name's Andrew Koo. I apologize, I'm not a youth. But I want to make a comment which is then attached to a question. So I've heard all the 4 speakers talk, and all of you represent political parties. But I've not really heard about you talking about non-party politics. I think a lot of kids in Malaysia grow up and parents tell them, don't go into politics. Politics is a dirty business, I think one or two, right? But we are thinking of party politics. But there's an aspect of politics which is about people, policies, and governance, which doesn't necessarily have to involve political parties. I've not heard any of you really talk about encouraging young people to get involved in that. And that's where I want to link it to the question that I have for all the 4 members of political parties here. What are your views about reviving local government? I know, Aini, you were a local councillor. I know, Adam, you were involved in youth politics and civil society. So there are a lot of things that can be done at a local level to train young people, to give them their first experience of being in the small p political process. So they don't even have to be political party members, but they can campaign and things like that. So I'd like to hear from you, what are your views? What are your party's views? Are you prepared to bring back local government elections to allow that level of governance and participation by ordinary people at grassroots level? Thank you.
Since Andrew just mentioned my name, definitely he wants the first answer from me, but let me address that. Okay, so a few years ago, I was actually part of like a local council in PJ, so I'm one of the local councillor. And to be very honest, I fully support local council election. You know, simple, the reason is very simple. As Andrew said, it actually allow youth to be involved in not just the small scale. So people think that local council, is a small space where, youth can be involved, community can be involved in decision makings and whatnot. But to be very honest, local council plays one of the biggest platform decision making in your everyday, day-to-day lives. To one extent, at first, when I was appointed, the word appointed to be a local councillor, I thought that, some people said to me that, you will jaga longkang, kutip sampah, etc. But you have no idea, before we even talk about big policies, before we even talk about big decision making, these are everyday, day-to-day topics that the community would talk about that can change their lives. You see, you want the community to be involved in making decision. You want the youth to be involved in making a lot of good policies, etc. But you need to make sure that they understand their roles in the community. So, to be very honest, when I worked in my kawasan last time, it was very, very difficult to actually involve the youth in our community work, as simple as coming down to their own place to actually engage with the community there on what they can do, what they can contribute. But okay, that's one. Number two is that when you do not elect your local councillor or the local council, you will have problems there are local councillors who are appointed by the political party and do not have such conscious and responsibilities over their duty. So that makes it worse, because they do not have such responsibility to serve the people, as long as they have such jawatan position and whatnot. So I fully support, and I feel like through this platform actually can allow our youth to go step by step, making sure they understand how governance work, how to work with the government agencies, working with the community, in making decisions.
All right, Amy, 2 questions from the audience.
Hi, my name is Adam Azrai. So my first question is to Adam Adli, YB Adam Adli. So you have been famous as a student activist, with your style of activism is going to the street. And now you have transitioned into a deputy minister, which is a more diplomatic approach. So how has that transition been for you personally, and do you struggle with it every day or something like that? So the second question that I have is for all 4 panelists. Is just, we see a lot of attacks or criticisms on youth these days. So for example, the Intern Bukan Buruh Percuma campaign, we see a lot of comments and criticisms on Twitter, etc. So this would demotivate youth from participating in activism and politics. So what would be your inspiring message or your rallying call for the youth today, for them to ignore this criticism and to fight for a better Malaysia? So, thank you.
Okay, just simple. Actually, to answer also Andrew, because Andrew did mention my name as well. Basically, I would support local election, the local government election, because I don't want to call myself to settle longkang in front of my house. You understand what I mean? I'm an MP. People will call me PBT because they want me to call PBT. So I want to have a peaceful neighborhood where people who are responsible for that matters are actually doing it, and not just doing it because of passion and duty, but also because of accountability, because they are being elected, not appointed. Yeah, that's one thing lah. Okay, that's my answer on that. Also on the Adam's question, Adam Azrai's punya question, it's not an approach, it's already a duty for me to not hit the street whenever there's a problem, but take a diplomatic approach, so-called approach. So discuss things over. So for example, there are just so many things out there that I can be very disagreed on. can you imagine me being someone who been very vocal about, say for example, the abolishment of Alta University and College University Auku? Personally, I would, of course, be, might as well just go out there again. But that would not solve the problem, isn't it? One. Second is, I'm already being put into a responsible, basically I now assume a responsibility that, okay, you can go there, make noise about certain things, but will it solve the problem? Or you're just gonna, just gonna drag things into an abyss or something like that. So what would be your role now? Now you are there. You dah ada, you don't have power. Basically, you dah ada some kedudukan. You have a say, a strong say. You can now meet with the minister. You can now advocate for it in a meeting. You can now try to have an engagement yang mana the ministry would actually listen to it. So that's what you do. So that's the transition. Okay. It's okay. But saya rasa it will take some times for it to be more effective. Yeah. More homework, more works for me.
Okay, I want to answer the both questions. Saudara Andrew. Okay, I think we PSM support the local council election. This is very important. The government should implement the local council election, because that is a Pakatan, last time Pakatan Harapan, then Pakatan Rakyat, all they have a demand on the local council election. But when they're in the power now, YB Nga Koming said, we hold first, not ready. This is a very disappointed for Rakyat. I think in their period of the government, they should implement the local council election. Within 1-2 years, should start up. This is the opportunity to involve the community to elect their local council. Come to the Saudara Adam question. That is a very important. Intern is not slave. Intern bukan buruh. So, because we need to amend our Employment Act should include the minimum wage for the intern. That is a very important, not because intern also doing the work. They are the employee. So this is another law should amend and bring the minimum wage for our intern. This is because we all been intern. When I was an intern, I didn't pay. People troll the employer in the Twitter because they are from a human rights firm. So it is very important. Should implement the minimum wage for the intern.
Amy, one more question.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is TJ. I'm actually from Sunway University, just across the road there. Thanks so much for having this as well. So my question is simple. I think the panel discussed earlier that youth activism and in political parties was kind of thrown towards the youth wing, which was a bit surprising because I think youth activism in Malaysia is one of the most active. So my question is, what is the power of the youth wings of political parties, and how can political parties empower them to do more?
Yeah, then I realized that I'm the one leading a youth wing. It's one of the wings. There's a principle of a party. Dia selalu, why they call it wings, because it's almost like an aeroplane or like a bird or something like that, where you need both wings to fly. Women and youth normally lah. That will be the anecdote that they will use in the I don't know, in a discussion whenever they have no answer, no direct answer to it. But to me, at one point of time, I will also question that why do you need to segregate or separate wings, youth and all? But like I said earlier, there's hierarchy, there's also seniority. There's no guarantee that you open up free for all, no youth wings, no women's wings and all, you will actually be able to really focus on, to really focus on your interests, youth interest dan sebagainya. And also sekurang-kurangnya lah, to me lah, sekurang-kurangnya when you have a youth wing, at least, there's an actual platform where it is very focused, where you can actually do something yang lebih tersusun dan tak ada orang tua yang kacau. That's one thing lah, and you can actually develop your own program, and not necessarily because pergerakan pemuda, any political wing, political party sebenarnya selalunya tidaklah terlalu terikat. Dia terikat dari segi prinsipal parti, tapi dari segi pergerakan approach dan juga dia punya ni kadang-kadang you boleh lebih bebas. Yeah, sorry.
A question directed to Joanna.
Hi, my name is Yana Karim from Boleh Space. We are a disability advocacy group. So my question is, today we've been talking about participating in politics for the youth, but what disabled youth need to do actually is to be able to access election booths. You know, some of us who are disabled will not even be able to reach polling stations. So what are your comments on that? And because if we are not able to access polling stations that are usually at schools, that means disabled kids are not getting education as well. And when the schools are being used as PPS, Pusat Pemindahan Semendar, that means that they are also staying at inaccessible PPS. Right? So may I know your comment on including access for election for disabled youth? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. Just to share a bit, I do as well have a brother who is disabled, and he has never had the opportunity as well. I fully understand he's autistic, right? And again, he's already in his 30s, and he has never be able to participate in any elections and so forth. But I do agree that there is a lack of let's just say the opportunity of minorities or disabled peoples to be able to have access to this. And I think at democracy, part of the principles of democracy is equality, equal for all. And I believe that just to give you a bit of a sharing of which, when you have jentera pilihan raya, right, you will always have satu organisasi itu yang untuk memastikan bahawa ramai mereka yang tidak mempunyai keupayaan untuk mendapat akses, terutamanya apabila membuat untuk berpartisipasi di dalam election ini, kita akan pastikan, and I believe most political parties also will have this, to memastikan bahawa most of this, everyone has the equal opportunity and access, to do this. But I think as well that this has not to be only, within the political party itself, but there needs to be a political will, to ensure that everyone has the equal right to have access and to participate in the democratic system in this country. And that is my comment on that. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. We have one more question.
Sorry, one comment and one question.
All right, one comment and one section.
Hello, I'm Bharati. Okay. I'm actually from PSF, but I wore multiple hats. So, I just want to say it. I mean, good to see many of you familiar faces here. Right, so basically what I want to point out is that democracy in capitalist system is benefiting the rich, richer, and the richest. And we have to acknowledge that if not, whatever that we are talking, it's going to be very cosmetic changes. That's only, it's not addressing the root cause of poverty or the poorest segment in the society. We have been delaying minimum wage, a comprehensive implementation of minimum wage in all sectors, right? We don't talk about unionization, for example, right? And we don't talk about universal basic income, for example. Maybe that would open up the participation of youth in politics spaces and so on and so forth. Just one, you interrupted and I lost my thought. What I wanted to say. You shouldn't have done that. Never mind. Thanks. Okay, sorry.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. We have one last question.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Brian. I think one of the most glaring issues among young people voting, especially to pass the Undi 18 Act, was that young people are irrational, and as you all have said, many of you have said, they follow what their parents vote for, right? And what is your counterpoint towards those who say that the youth are irrational and don't act on their own will?
Everyone would like to answer. Okay, maybe I can start first. I don't think youth are irrational. Every youth has their own voice, right? And I think that with the implementation of Undi 18, as I said just now, it is very, very refreshing and rejuvenating, and to, to make the democracy system in Malaysia a bit more flourishing, as we not see that it's only one age that is it's in the system. But I think again that how we counter this and to make sure that a lot of our youth do not just listen to apa bapa cakap, apa mama cakap, apa keluarga cakap, but I think again we need to go back to education. Education, I cannot put any further emphasis on how this could actually make a difference, especially in the society. It's okay, the litmus test was during the recent general election, but let's just look forward, let's be progressive-minded. We know for a fact that now, okay, this was the consequences that we had when we had Undi 18 implemented during the last general election. So now, I hope the government, especially the ones, Wadbi Adam and everyone who is in the unity government right now, let's just sit down. There must be a concerted effort to look into this, and to see that for the next general election, and again, state election is coming soon here for 6 states, right? And I think this will be another big issue that you, not for Sabah, but all of you here will have to face. So therefore, I think the most important thing is to go back to education and to see the education system in Malaysia. Is it ready? Does it need an overhaul about this? Is it ready to prepare our youth to be able and to have they're not irrational. Let me tell you that. Okay? We are given, God gave us the mind, all right, to actually make rational decisions. But it's just the societal framework that we are living in right now that's causing that, and the system that we're in. So therefore, I guess, maybe everyone should go back to the table, all right, and have a look at it and see how can we actually equip these young people so that they will make rational decisions for the next election. Thank you very much.
All right, yeah. Please add together.
Okay, can I just add a little bit? I think that this is like the connotation or like the perspective that not so young people would give to like young people, kan? Sebab apa? Sebab you see that, okay, number one lah, I personally think that this is really because they want to stay in power, satu, because we will be taking like, their seats and whatnot, contohnya. But I feel like if you're saying that youth are not reasonable, our voices are not important, for example, try to give us the chance, the platform, the opportunity, the space you don't want to give, and prejudge us or prejudge these people before they can even try. So where do that come from? You see, you do not want to give the space, tapi you already prejudge. Okay, what are the things that is so irrelevant to them that the youth talk about? Do you talk about interns must be paid? Do you talk about like the country's issues? Their issues, their livelihood? So what's the problem? So I think it's just generally the scare that they want to put towards youth, because most probably these are their livelihoods issues that they talk about. So I think it's just a generalization of like how people want others to perceive youth as. But after all, if you give the chance, the platform to youth, this is what they're going to do. You think, okay lah, defense sikit Adam kan. You think it's easy to sit in this role and make that shift? Walaupun I tak tahu his day to day, but obviously it's very difficult. But I'm pretty sure you're trying, right? Okay. It's not that ada, but like kita still pressure, definitely. We will still pressure him to do this and that. But we want to make sure that our pressure, the youth pressure, will make him work harder. That's about it. Yeah.
Okay. Suddenly forget the. Okay, I think nobody think youth is irrational, because I think the root problem is the system, our political system, our current the government structure, our education system. Lot of things we need to do in this country. The basic root problem is system, which the system make the most young people become individualistic, study, work, paying the debt, then have a family. This is a system which make the people, yes, we need to study hard, work hard, pay the debts hard, then die. So we have a lot of things to change the system. Without change the system, we can't do anything. That's the root. So nobody think, because every youth is capable. Not only youth, everybody is capable. They have their own talent. How to expose it? With current system, we can't do it. So there must be changes. So it's a very big topic when we want to talk about the transformation from the capitalist system. Which system we looking for? Democratic, socialist, so many systems. So in the first stage, the young should have the exposure. What kind of ideology? Very important when we talk about political advocacy is not participate in the political party. The thinking, critical thinking, think out of the box. Okay, conclude now. Okay, maybe I give my conclusion point. Actually, youth is a very privileged time. The youth time is a very privileged. The student time is a very privileged. We must utilize it. We must start do something here. Start your activism here, not in the 15 years. 15 years is a time to hand over to the other young people. That the problem and that the mistake you used to do and continue doing by the most of the leaders in our country. They running the 50s, 60s, 70s until 90s. So I think that's the problem.
In conclusion, to also probably sum up or to answer slightly on what our friend, the question posed to our friend just now. Actually, to me, it's not about, we do not have to discuss this today, supposedly. I don't know why we are still discussing this. Conclude now, okay. What we need to focus on would not be about what are we doing for the young people of today, what kind of platform we need to provide and whatnot. It's there. It's there. What we need to focus on would be what are we going to, what kind of future are we going to give to our next generation? The reason today we are so angry with everything, we are so dissatisfied with everything is because probably the previous generation didn't think much about us, right? Not saying that they are bad. All I'm saying is that we have to take up some responsibility, some form of responsibility. Don't talk about young generation, don't talk about age. Let's talk about what we are inheriting to the next future. Then only we start talking about economy. With that, the conversation will not just talk about, we want young people to hold political office. No, will be about making sure that the next generation are being protected. And we are moving towards that already, isn't it? around the world, we have seen so many progressive laws like future generations' well-being and something like that. So we have to think along that way. And lastly, I will leave you, young people are not rational. Just that you have to remember this, older men declare war, but it is the youth that must fight and die. And it is the youth who must inherit the tribulation, the sorrow, and the triumphs that are the aftermath of war. This is not by me, this is Herbert Hoover, last president, 31st president of America, but I think this one would basically, food for thought. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much to all of the panels for a very insightful forum. We think when we talk about youth political candidacy, we would love to see more youth out there. This is a message for you to embrace your position, not as the leaders of tomorrow, but the leaders of today. With that, we would like to end the forum. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And for those who are watching us from live stream, thank you so much for your time. And I hope you have a nice day. Thank you.